Hi, Murphy Public Library. This is Franklin Shook, and today I want to take a few minutes of your time to give you an in-service, which will be kind of help you guys in order to address some needs that I've gotten from you. I've spoken to most of you, and one of the biggest needs I'm seeing with patrons and with working with the library is a need to troubleshoot computer issues in a timely manner. I understand that your computer servicing is outsourced within the region, and that the tech guy that's currently available isn't available on call immediately. And I want to be able to arm you with some tools that you can prepare yourself when you run into any issues on a daily basis. Some of the things that I want to talk about um, are I want to talk about basic computer troubleshooting. I want us to look at certain specific issues and some ways that you can address them on your own. Um, that includes the computer freezing, the screen going out, and internet issues. And after that, I want to talk about computer performance and doing regular servicing on especially the computer lab computers and even your own staff computers. That way they are optimized, which means that they will run better for you as long as you do these things. And that includes running some simple utilities that are freely available and to make sure that things are updated. So, first, I really want to talk about what to do when you walk up to a computer and maybe a patron has come up to you and said that there's an issue. Um, for example, if someone comes up to you and says, "Hey, my screen is black and I don't know what to do." So, the first thing that you would do is you would take a look at the computer. Obviously, the screen that you are seeing here is on. It's not, there's nothing wrong with it at the moment. And we'll talk about some other issues with it later. But if it is a black screen, the first thing you want to look for is power to both the monitor and to the computer. So if you look right here, there is a green indicator light to tell you if the monitor's on. I know this is a basic thing to check for, and it's easy and quick to do. Also, on the laptop tower, there's a power button right here. If the light is on, the computer is on. Um, and you should, you verified that there's power on the PC tower. So you're looking for power to the PC tower, power to the monitor, and if the screen is black, the very next thing you want to do is check the cables. So the cables, this is the power cable that goes into the back of the monitor. These are very notorious for falling out. So if that indicator light is not on your monitor, you want to first look at this cable. You can reach in there and push it up in the socket and make sure that it's holding. If there is power to the monitor, you want to look at the video cable. This is a VGA. It's blue. They're all blue. You want to make sure that this thing is firmly pushed up and that these screws are screwed in by at least finger tight. You also want to do the same thing to the back of the PC. This cable also reaches over there. And here it is, this picture right here. So you also want to make sure that this is firmly pushed in and working. If you think at this point that it might be a monitor issue, that the monitor's just not working, try to take this cable off. You have to unscrew these two screws and take it off and put it in place of another computer nearby. This is really easy to do in the computer lab because the PCs are beside each other. You can just take one of these off, put it on another computer, and see if the monitor turns on. If the monitor turns on, it's very likely that there's a problem with the computer graphics card, and you will probably need to call your PC repair person to come and take a look at it. That will be a stopping point for you. So make sure you just take advantage of that as a stopping point. Another thing that I recommend that you do is to look at other computers that might be affected. I want you to make sure that each of the computers are on and operating. For example, for if this computer is the light is off on the front for power, and the light is off on the front of the monitor, look at the computer beside it. It's very likely that the two computers side by side are plugged into the same power strip, surge protector, battery backup, whatever. If that's the case, then you may want to check what it's plugged into and make sure that's plugged up. Just tracing the power cords down. Um, so this is about the end of what you would look for if the screen is black. If you Now, if the computer is unresponsive, like if it's freezing, um, let's say it looks like this, but when you wiggle the mouse or you try to go to or open up a program or you hit the Windows button to see if the menu will pop up, and it does nothing, it's just completely unresponsive. Um, Here's what you would do. Um, Number one, you know, click around in here, go crazy, hit some keys, press the Windows key, see if something will happen. If nothing happens, then you want to look and see if a program is not responding. For example, if a program is actually open here, like the internet, a lot of times it'll actually tell you in parentheses that it's not responding. When it does that, sometimes it will lock there and it won't allow you to get out of it. So what I recommend doing is pressing Control Alt Delete all at the same time, and what that will bring up is what that will bring up is a menu that where you can select the task manager. Your whole computer will get out to be blue. It'll say task manager. Select task manager. Give me just a moment. I'll pull that up for you. All right. And this is on a Windows 7 computer. It looks similar. If you go to Windows Task Manager and look for the applications that are running, you can actually see what's up. You can click on it and click End Task. In the status bar here, it will tell you if it's not responding. If it takes a long time to close, it will tell you that it'll pop up, give you another window that pops up around here, and it will say that it is not responding and ask if you want to close it anyway or end now. Go ahead and do that, and the program will close down, and hopefully the computer won't be frozen anymore. If that's not the case, if it's not a program, and if the computer's still frozen, what you need to do is you need to do a hard reset of the computer. And in order to do that, you need to press this power button on the top right as it's lit up and hold it there for 10 to 15 seconds until not only the screen turns off, but this light also turns off. Doing that completely shuts the computer down. It completely puts it down to no power to the computer at all. If you don't hold it for long enough and you just press it, the computer will just go to sleep, which is not turning it off. So you want to make sure that you press this in for as long as possible. Also, I want you to, once you do that, hit it and turn it back on and see if it's still responding the right way. It should fix the problem. It's fixed many of the problems in the past few weeks that I've been there. People have come up to me and said the computer's frozen. I've done a hard reset, and it's typically fixed the problem. So that's something that that's just to look out for. So the next thing I kind of want you to look for or to think about is the internet. A lot of times, the internet goes out quite often, with either one computer or other computers. There's many different things that can happen that cause the internet to go out, and it's really hard to troubleshoot on your own. But it's something that you can look at from the computer, and you can trace things, and you can kind of look to see if things are going. What I will say is, if all else fails, just talk to Melissa, the librarian, and or talk to those who are responsible for resetting the internet, and they can always reset it, see if that works. If that doesn't, then you'll have to call someone or see if you can get some help. So if the internet's not working on the computer, let me see if I can pull this up for you. You'll see down here, and it's kind of hard to see. Let me zoom this in. Down here on the bottom right hand side of the computer, this little icon right here tells you that you have internet on the computer. It tells you that you have a wired internet connection. If it were a wireless internet connection, it would look like a little fan, as most of you may know from phones or from laptops or tablets. But for the most part, all the stationary PCs on campus at Murphy Public Library has this icon, and that tells you that the internet's on. You don't have to open anything to know. But if you really want to try, or if you really feel like you need to open something, open up a web browser, type something in Google, make sure that it actually goes somewhere. If that doesn't work and you have no internet at all, it will tell you. Google Chrome actually gives you a little dinosaur that tells you there's no internet. So if that's the case, what you need to do is look at the back of the computer. If you look at the back of the computer, here's my picture here, you will see this cable coming out of the back. They come in many different colors. There's white, blue, yellow, red, whatever color you see. Doesn't really matter what color it is, but it's in the back of the computer. So the icon that's right beside it is just a network cable that's going in. I don't know if you can see it in this picture, but it's actually glowing orange right here. There's a little light right there. There's also a little green light on the bottom of that plug. If that green light is blinking and that orange light is on solid, then you have internet that's transmitting to that computer. I actually have a video that I'm going to show you of that. Let's look right here. Yep. So if you see the light right there blinking, it's not green, but it is blinking. This one is solid. Okay, and that means that you have internet transmitting to the computer. So, likely you have it. If that's not on, then you want to trace this wire back. Now, on this particular computer, it's on the outside of the computer lab. It traces back straight to the wall. So that's as far as you can go. If it's not, it probably won't be blinking at the wall. But if you see that it's plugged in, just push it real good. If it's plugged in, then there's nothing more that you can do other than resetting the internet or calling a technician. Now, if it plugs into a switch, which in the computer lab there's a few switches, and they look like this, and what happens with the switch is one line has the internet and plugs into it, and the other lines go out to the other computers that need internet, and so it really just expands the internet service. And again, you see these two lights here on each little plug. There's two lights, and it tells you if there's solid internet, and it blinks if there's a signal transmitting between this device and another computer, or wherever the internet's coming from. So double check these, make sure all the lights are on, make sure the power is on. In this picture right here, this is where it plugs up. Make sure that's plugged in, make sure it's plugged into the wall or the power supply that it is plugged into. A lot of times what happens is patrons will kick these. They become unplugged, lines come out of them. It's an easy place to look to see, hey, this needs to be plugged in, and maybe that'll fix it. And then you can go back to one of the first steps with that and, look at the monitor and, look for that icon down here on the bottom. Make sure that you have internet coming to the computer. And like I said, it's a really quick way of finding internet. You don't have to open anything, and especially if you're working on like 20 computers or 5 computers, you don't want to just go and click and open on all of them, and you don't have time because you have people at the circulation desk. You want to be able to do this quickly. So, just take a look at that. Make sure the switch is working. Here's a video of the switch. As you can see, they're blinking. As you can see the blinking, and you can see that there is signal transmitting there. There's power going to it, obviously. if all of that was blank, or if a whole line was blank, let's play it again. Let's say if you get to this line right here and there's no lights on but it's plugged in, if it's just one, then you're having an issue with only one computer probably. If the actual internet is not, the whatever the internet line is not giving internet, then the other two will likely be blank. It just depends on which line is doing what. But all that you need to know is that if there's no power going to this, then try to plug it in, try to get power going to it. You may, if you happen to have one behind the desk, you may want to replace it just to see if that helps. If not, it's no big deal. You can call your tech guy, you can have him come in and take a look at it. But this is, like I said, empower, just giving you the ability to know what to look for and know what to check for. Okay, so if all else fails with the internet and you can't do it at all, you want to seek out Melissa or whoever can actually reset the internet. I know that Mike has given her instructions on how to do that, so you want to go back and and reset the internet, see if that fixes the problem, and if it doesn't, you either want to call the service provider, EMC, or you want to call Mike himself and just see what else you can do, and he'll probably want to come in and check it out for you. So off to the second part of this video, I want to talk about some performance issues with these computers. I noticed when I came in that a lot of the computers were running slowly at times. They're freezing, like I was talking about earlier, and they were unresponsive. A lot of the things that cause that are things that automatically get downloaded on the computer when a patron visits a website. So, for example, they go to Google, they Google their favorite topic, they go to this news website that's scattered with ads, and what happens is the ads want to download things onto your computer to find information. That's their goal. They want to, mainly the goal for ads is to put information on the computer that helps identify you as an individual, so that they can cater the ads and give you what you're looking for. So what they do is they send out bots that look for what you're searching for on the internet, things you're looking to do, whatever, and they modify that as your interest, and then they put it in an algorithm, and then they cater the ads to you. So what happens is that downloads a bunch of temporary files and junk on your computer, and it slows your computer's performance down incredibly. So here's a few things that I recommend using. I do it at my school, and it really helps to keep the computers in really good shape. You can also do this at home. These are free programs, freely available for personal use, and you can just run them anytime you want to, really. But let me start talking about them specifically. So the junk files, this is your search history. They create cookies that get on your computer, temporary files. They also bring in adware and spyware, which are dangerous because they can, if someone puts their credit card information in, that stuff can pick that up. This adware, spyware, malware, things that definitely don't need to be on your computer. But websites will just, any given website can just throw it out there. So here's the first tool I want to talk to you about. It's called Glary Utilities. I have installed this on all of the Computer Lab computers. And here's what I recommend. I recommend that you run it as often as you can. You can run it on your own staff computers. I would say at least once a week you should run this. And here's what will happen. I'm going to click this. You go into the one-click maintenance tab, which is where I'm at. Don't worry about any of this and just click scan. It will be a very fast scan, relatively, compared to like antivirus or or other things that take a deeper scan. This one only looks at specific areas. So the registry is what gets modified when you open a program, or when you open, let's say you open the internet a bunch of times, which is actually what happens. The patrons get on the internet quite often. They close out, they open back up, a new one comes to the computer, opens it back up. the registry changes, and so it leaves some altered files that don't need to be in the registry anymore. So what it's doing is it's finding this stuff. It's finding shortcuts. It's finding spyware, which it didn't find anything on my computer. And it's finding these temporary files that are created by going to the websites, and that includes cookies. And what it does is it'll clean all this off. If you don't want to look at it while you're scanning, you can click this automatically repair checkbox, even in the middle of scanning, and it'll automatically delete everything. As soon as everything that it finds, it'll automatically delete. None of the files that this deletes will affect your computer negatively at all. So everything it's finding is junk. It's stuff that needs to get thrown away. If you don't click that check mark, you'll see a button for repair problems. You just click it and go. And here's what I want you to see. I ran this 2 days ago on my computer, and there were 604 megabytes of files found just in my temporary files from going to websites. That's over half a gigabyte of space that junk files are living in, and it's going to actually remove all of that for you. And this is really awesome. I actually went into the genealogy room to do this, and I showed Melissa. This number got as big as 15,000, which is around 15 gigabytes of temporary files that were on those computers. So this is why I recommend running it often as you can. I would say, if you could, throw a policy out there that you will do it once a week, either on a Saturday or a weekday, whatever you decide to do. Just pick a time. You can do one computer at a time, or 5 at a time, or you can just set it to run and automatically repair and leave it for the night. It'll automatically do what you need it to do. And you can also run it in conjunction with some of these others that I'm going to explain. So let me click repair problems and just show you how quickly it goes. It will probably ask me to close an internet browser. It may ask you to do the same if you have the internet open. You can do that, or you can ignore that, and it'll still clear most everything off of there. Okay, while that's doing that, as you can see, it says problem solved. It's fixing the shortcuts. It'll delete these and say problem solved. Let's look at Malwarebytes. Now, this does a really good job at fixing those annoying files that are just junking up your computer. Malwarebytes, on the other hand, will really scan your system and look for that spyware, malware, adware, and malware that will completely it affects your computer, similar to how a computer virus does, and tries to steal your data. It'll look for passwords and credit card information, and these are the main reasons that a lot of cards now, debit cards and credit cards, get replaced. So, the company will send you an email and say, we found out that a list of our credit card numbers were exploited, and they'll send you a new number because of this type of stuff right here. So you can actually go into Malwarebytes. It will ask you to update probably once a month. That's kind of the problem with the free software, is that it will actually pop up and ask you to update periodically. You can update it as often as you want. I highly recommend at least running this twice a month. And it will, especially, I would even say more than that if, since you have a lot of usage in the computer lab. I would say run it once a month, maybe on the staff computers, twice a month at least on the public computers. I think that it'll do really good to keep it, clean. And it may not find anything, but the beauty of this is you can just run a scan. You click scan. You click scan now here. You can actually make sure that it's updated. And this one's updated. The green check means it's ready to go. And so just click scan. I'm not going to bore you with sitting through this because it will take a long time. It'll go all the way through this, especially on this last analysis section. It will take a very long time to look through these files, and it does a very good job. but it's still it's not quite as long as some of the antivirus programs that you could use. So, you could do this and just let it go. I would run the scan at night, come back the next morning, and then just click to repair all the problems. It's very easy to use. And again, with this and with Glary here, they will ask you a lot to update their programs. The reason I would recommend that you update them as much as you can is because every day there's a new threat that's being created. It's coming through a website, it's coming through, the adware and spyware is getting created and coming through in new different ways. And so these databases get updated at least once a month with new threats that they can find. So I would recommend at least once every 2 to 3 months going ahead and updating it. If that doesn't work for you, then you could do it. It'll at least solve the problems that it has in its database at the moment. So just consider that. And again, like I said, you can use this at home. If you feel like you have a slow computer at home, run these. I guarantee you that it'll speed your computer up as long as your computer doesn't have a more serious issue. So I'm gonna exit out of this, and Malwarebytes is going to run. The last line of defense in your computer on these Windows 10 machines is actually built into Windows 10. There's an antivirus in Windows 10 called Windows Defender, and it does a really good job of keeping actual viruses out. These are viruses that are known as Trojans, worms. They're known as lots of different things. If they get bad enough, they're newsworthy. A lot of times the news will pick up, if there's a very dangerous type of virus that's been created that's coming around. Sometimes you'll see that. But you don't have to do anything with Windows Defender. You don't have to turn it on. You don't have to scan. You can. So I would recommend going to the Start menu, typing Windows Defender to find it, and you can open it up and scan your computer. If you really think that this is a very last-ditch effort, in my opinion, open it up and scan it if you think that your computer's infected with something. And here's an example of that. Not too long ago, we had a computer that popped up an internet browser, and it was very loud and verbal, and it appeared to come from Microsoft, and it said, your computer's been infected, you need to take these steps, call this number, do something, before your credit card information and whatever is stolen. And it would say it to you in a loud voice, a real loud, deep voice. And what threw me off to it was, it almost looked genuine, almost. Microsoft would never just pop up on your computer like that and tell you that, unless you have their permission, because they can remote into your computer with permission. But they will never just pop up a website. They will never just tell you that there's a problem, from your computer. So you exit out of that. I would run Glary and Malwarebytes. And then if Windows Defender doesn't automatically pop up a window down here and says, we found a virus on your computer, which it should do, then I would run Windows Defender. Just open it up, search for it in the bar here, and click scan. It'll do a very deep scan, very thorough. It takes a long time, longer than Malwarebytes. You may want to let it sit a while, put a sign on it, turn the screen off, something that keeps patrons from getting to it, and just let it do its work. Once it's done, it will give you recommendations on what to do with the infection. I hope this helps. I know this is pretty thorough. There's a lot of other things that I can teach you and show you, but I really wanted to give you a basic overview. And just to kind of recap what I talked about, we did basic computer troubleshooting, which is what are you doing when the screen turns black and you can't see anything, what you're doing when the computer freezes or is unresponsive, what you do when the internet isn't working, and then the computer performance. And we just talked about using Glary to run a scan, Malwarebytes, and to understand that there is an antivirus on your computer that'll automatically catch viruses. I'm not saying that it's 100%, and nothing ever is, due to new things being created every day, good and bad. Um, and you want to make sure that your patrons have a good positive experience. I know that all of you know that. You want to make sure that everybody's doing something safe, that children aren't being exposed to things that they don't need to be exposed to. In the future, I'll create a new video with some new things that you can learn to use and to make use of. But until then, I really hope that this helped you guys out a lot. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen to me. And, I hope you all have a wonderful day. I hope that, I hope that this helps out. And, you can ask me any questions. Please leave as many comments as you see fit. And, I hope you all have a wonderful time. Thank you.